What?
We're back. We're back
Again.
Oh my gosh. Newell messaged me last night. Are we doing this every week now? I was like, yeah, I think so. I don't know if it accident or I just after our call, I just made it a weekly thing. So here we again, guys. Welcome to Valiant TLDR. Quick origin. SCG over here, Jason and I, and Newell hung out at one of the cons, and we were just chit chatting Valiant, man, like geeking out, and Newell was stuck in between us, and so I think afterwards, unintentionally, he caught the bug. So initially, Jason and I kind of started this whole thing first. Really, just honestly, a lot of it was him being the guru that's kind of stayed in touch with Valiant through the course of all the phases, and then me being kind of phase one, super fan, wanting to catch up. And then Newell's like, "Hey, I want to catch up," and so we said, "All right, start reading." And so here we are. Got the three of us here. I'm Carl Choi, publisher at 24/7 Comics, and one of your co-hosts.
I'm Newell Turner, aka Stingray, and I am the schlub that agreed to start reading 30-year-old comics with these guys.
Well, I'm Jason, Southern Comic Geek, and so glad everybody has decided to join us today, whether on my channel or 24/7 Comics. But in either case, be sure to smash that like button. And Carl, I know that, of course, those who don't know, there are some that don't know what 24/7 Comics is.
That's
and
true.
You've got a lot of stuff that's coming out. I mean, feel free to hit that plug button.
Sure, I will. I mean, if you guys don't mind, I mean, we are a creator-led venture.
I have one of those too.
You have a little something there. We do have a little upcoming project called Bladesmith. And so if you just do a quick Kickstarter search, Bladesmith, this is basically our upcoming campaign. Is launching on Tuesday, the 11th. 171 followers. We'd love to get to 200 right before we launch. So if you haven't clicked this notify me on launch yet, please do. And for us, we are, it's interesting because when I review some of the books and review kind of the Valiant ethos, I'll read some of the text from like the bullpen bulletins. I didn't realize how much Valiant as a brand, even as a company, inspired so much of what we do at 24/7. So, I think it's a journey that's been amazing. I've been learning a lot, learning alongside you guys. But yeah, thanks for that, Jason. I always kind of almost forget to plug. I look forward to these streams often, and it's always fun to kind of dive into nostalgia. And of course, make new fans as well, especially this guy right here, number one Marvel fan. Is my little personal project. His name to me is number one Valiant fan. I didn't realize he was so busy, but at the same time, we're happy he's back because he was a little sick this week, and so was out of commission. We got Mr. Derek here, double like smash. Thank you, Derek. Appreciate the support.
And drop the Kickstarter link in the chat too. So if anybody has not already hit that notify when it launches, be sure to flip over there and do that.
I feel like I've been following that campaign for a while now. When does it start?
Next Tuesday, actually.
Okay.
February 11th. So we want to try to get to 200 follows before then. It's fun. The creator team is fun. There's a cool story behind it. So if you like food, I think this one will be a fun one. It's a kind of a crossover from Food Wars to John Wick. So the writer actually is a TV writer. He works for Netflix on a couple projects, and then Peacock on a few projects. But by all means, like I'm the guy who hates people who make comics based on to turn into movies, but this was actually a movie script we came across that read like a comic, and so deservedly we evolved it into a comic and made it take advantage of the comic book format. So it's been really fun, and Crease is the artist. You guys maybe
we love Crease.
Yeah, we all love Crease, and so this is his first creator project, and so yeah, we're pretty excited for everyone to read.
Didn't you say that he drew like the first issue like 3 years ago or something?
4 years ago. It's been
that's crazy.
4 years in the making. So he literally just finished issue 4, and typically that's when we launch. And what Jason showed you guys there earlier was the ash can that we printed for OAX, limited to 100 copies just for OAX members. And so
oh man, me and Jason are number 1 and 2.
Yes, sure. Thanks for taking a read as well if you haven't already.
It's a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. Looking forward to the rest of it.
Yeah, in fact, our friend Tom McDonald gave us some feedback. I think he was an editor himself, and so there's a few feedback he gave on a few panels, some feedback he gave on dialogue, and we welcome all feedback. And we're right at work already, so I gave that feedback, and the creators are basically a little bit of a preview, adding some dialogue during the fight scenes, so that we're using that space to build more character. And then there's a couple of the action panels that were Tom highlighted what could have been done better. So I think Cree's going to reattack those panels. So it's pretty fun. I think we want to kind of do publishing a little differently and get the community involved and make a great product together.
Sweet.
Cool. So with that said, what the heck are we reading today, guys? This is TLDR. And the title. So let's do a quick intro.
Yeah. The most recent thing that I read was Harbinger, which Jason actually was kind enough to give me some goodies at OAX. So I got the Harbinger trade paperback.
Nice.
Which is pretty cool, which is the first 6 issues. But what's weird, because there's an issue before number 1, there's a number 0, but it came shrink wrapped with a copy of Harbinger number 0. So I got 0 and then 1 through 6 here. I've read beyond that, but I had to do that elsewhere. But yeah, so this is like my first actual Valiant comic that I own.
Congrats. That's a great book.
Thank you, Jason.
I'm just glad that we share that. I helped pop your Valiant cherry, and you always remember your first, Noel. So.
Oh yeah. I will always remember that Southern Comic Geek was the one that got me there.
Well, and so back in the day, nowadays we don't think nothing about variant covers.
Right.
Because there's like 1,000 covers per book that comes out nowadays, especially for number 1s. But back then that wasn't as much the case. Now, for those, there are a couple of variants for that. The trade paperback, there is a variant of that has a blue Harbinger symbol.
The big one?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
There's a blue one, and which is a little more rare. And then the 0 is actually, that's the one that was designed to go with the trade paperback. There's a pink one that you would mail off coupons to get. And so some of the reasons why Harbinger 1 and some of the other early Valiant comics get green labels of CGC is because people tore out their coupons to mail off to get the 0 comic. So the 0 was actually made after 1 release to kind of fill the backstory. Unfortunately, as we show the read all comics in a minute, Harbinger 0 is not on there. So I don't know if you want to start with 0 before we go into the rest of them, or since that kind of continuity wise.
I'll just say how I ended up reading. Like you said, the 0 wasn't on where I was reading them, so I started with number 1, and I was a little confused because it's definitely starts, in media ray, right? Like in the middle of the action. So I even asked you, Jason, like, what's up with where's the beginning of the story? Like, is there something that I missed? And you're like, oh yeah, there's an issue 0. So I had to go find that. And I managed to find it digitally. I think I got it for free off of Comixology, so I read it there. But that definitely filled in some gaps. So I read it later, but I did read 0. So
real quick too, Jason, is there do you remember chronologically where Harbinger came in? Because I was thinking a lot about Harbinger in the shower this morning, and my personal kind of exposure to it. I remember I avoided the book for the longest time. For some weird reason, I was diving into IXO, I was diving into Solar, I was diving into all these books. And I think a lot of it has to do with the unfamiliarity of like how grounded it was. So it didn't really appeal to me. I came from like the superhero world of X-Men and whatnot, right? Because these books were coming out after X-Men number 1, where like those sold millions of copies. That was the hype. All of a sudden, they throw this thing into the mix of the meta. That was a totally counterculture. But when I came back to it, I remember falling in love with it and was like, oh man, like this is really good, So what was the chronological order? Do you remember?
Not off the top of my head, but the Gold Key characters kind of launched it with Solar and Magnus. So Solar being in current present day and Magnus being in the future. And then so if you think about Exo Manowar 4, which is where he meets the Harbinger kids for the first time, is in May of 92. Then Harbinger 1 came out in January of 92. So I mean, all around the same, similar around the same time as Exo. But yeah, I mean, you bring up a good point. I mean, you're at the height of mutant popularity, right? The X-Men cartoons coming out in '92. I mean, mutants are selling everything from Pizza Hut boxes to
I remember those
cartoons on TV. And so the Psiots, which was Valiant's mutants, and these were much younger than we had become accustomed to with the X-Men brood. You know, so you think about Wolverine. I mean, you're really talking about more New Mutants, early New Mutants type of age
I was
group.
thinking that, yeah, New Mutant style. Yeah, it's very akin to New Mutants. And if Professor X was evil, that's kind of what the nature of Harbinger was like.
Yeah, basically, you have this guy that's pulling all the strings, Toyo Harada, and he's pulling all the strings, which we find out, I guess, in 25, and then towards the end, which we won't cover past 25 today, but that he's pulling more strings than what people realized. He is definitely one of the big bads of the Valiant universe.
Yep.
For sure.
Definitely. Yeah, I was going to say, like, if I had to describe this in a nutshell after reading it, definitely it's like Valiant X-Men, right? Bunch of super powered young people, being chased down by, in this case, not the government, but by, this mysterious Harbinger organization, that's telling them that they want to help them and help them learn how to use their abilities and everything, but then really just trying to manipulate them and use their power for his own, and that's like the elevator pitch. And I mean, honestly, I think of the books I've read so far, this one might be my least favorite, which isn't to say that I didn't like it. I don't know. It was a little bit too X-Men for me, I think. You know what I mean? I think if I wanted to read an X-Men book, I'd rather just read X-Men. You know what I mean? And this felt like it was like X-Men light a little bit. But I mean, that's just my feeling on it. But I mean, there's a lot of fun stuff in it. We got some of Harada in Exo, and so getting to see him a little bit more and learn a little bit more about the Harbinger Foundation and how they actually operate and stuff, I thought was cool. The Unity stuff with Harbinger, like the end part of that, where they have the kid and you find out who the kid is. Like, I was like, what? So that was a big surprise. Do you know what I'm talking about, Carl?
The Unity kid. I don't remember.
We'll get to that in a minute.
Let's dive into it.
For Carl.
Here we are.
All right, so I'll just sum up Zero real quick. So in Zero, Peter is starting to develop powers. He's got like psychic powers, right? And he sees the ads for the Harbinger Foundation, so he writes a letter, and they eventually get back to him, and he works with them. He meets Harada, and then he doesn't do things the way that Harada wants to, and he decides to just leave the Harbinger Foundation. Like, it's not good for him after having like a heart-to-heart with his best friend. And then basically they blow up his friend's house because they didn't like the bad influence that the friend was having on Peter. And so then they start chasing Harada, or Harada starts chasing Peter and his girlfriend Chris, and that's where we pick up in number one.
Yep. And like you mentioned, number one starts off with a splash. I mean, this cover I would say, is pretty iconic when it comes to Valiant. Like, everyone knows
it's a good cover,
like the moment. Right.
Yeah, and it's actually one of the more sought after Valiant covers from this era because one I mentioned earlier was the coupon got cut out of many of them, and then secondly is for some reason there's bindery splits are really bad on this comic, and so to get a high grade is very difficult. But yeah, it's definitely one of the more sought after covers.
I remember that too. I remember even when I went back to buy it, it was not cheap. I don't remember how much it was, but I remember it was like, it cost me a pretty penny to get into the collection.
You see Derek's comment there, Carl? He knows what
the professor spoiling it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, there we go. That's what he meant. Oh, okay, the Unity kid. I get it. It's Torque and what's her name? His little side gig. And the Harbinger always remind me of DB7 from the Marvel New Universe. Yep. Tom McDonald. I think he's referencing the Bladesmith thoughts earlier. But yeah, no, you're right. Number one starts off with a splash, and I thought that was very cinematic. I don't know how else to describe it, but it was almost like doom threw you right into it, right?
And this is David Lapham, right?
It is David Lapham, young David Lapham.
Yeah. Well, I just know because he did the early couple issues of Shadow Man too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I thought the art was great.
So one thing you'll notice if you look at the original art pages on this particular issue, there are a ton of stats, like glue stains galore on this stuff, and which kind of speaks to that they were still like evolving this thing as they were going along. You know, they draw out that page and go, no, we're going to scratch that. We're going to do this instead. So it speaks to how it was evolving like on the fly, and also the tight continuity that Shooter was shooting for, pun intended, I guess, with the early Valiants. Yeah, all the pages unfortunately have that.
Stat City, right? Oh my God, so much glue. Yeah, the glue in the older Valiant stuff was really prominent. Now, is this actually the stats kind of degrading, or did they rip the stats off too?
Stats come off, yeah.
So they took the stats off already. So basically, the original are under the stats.
Well, yeah, like that's like the Shadow Man page that I have has a bunch of the word bubbles are no longer on it, and there's that dark kind of orangey glue stains where all of them were. It's pretty bad, but I mean.
So if you're going to get an original art page from issue 1 in particular, you're going to have to learn to live with glue stains. But to Newell's point, there are a lot of nice David Lapham scenes in this book. But that one just came up on was just bought off of Heritage not too long ago.
Oh, this one! Wow. Okay. Mm-hmm. Who is Joey? Joey, who is this guy? I never met him before.
Wait, Joey? I know. No way. I know Joey Boyack.
Wow.
Yeah.
What's his story? Like, is he a big Harbinger fan? Because he has the whole issue almost.
I don't know that aspect, but he scroll down a little bit. Let me see the picture. No, for his profile. If that's who I think it is, that he runs a local comic shop.
Oh, that's cool. Wow.
Yeah, he runs a shop called Comic King. Shout out.
Right here, Comic Kings. Exactly.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that's him.
What's up, Comic Kings? Oh.
Is it up there by you, Newell?
Yeah, it's like 5 minutes away from where I live.
Oh my God, Newell, you gotta have to help us get some Harbinger 1 pages.
Right.
that's we're you gotta have to pop our cherry on Harbinger 1 pages.
Oh yeah.
I haven't talked to Joey in a while, but I might have to go stop by the store.
Awesome. Maybe he's got them at the store. Yeah, Derek says Wizard hyped all the early Valiant books, and so if you didn't get on early, and like I did not, because like I've said before, Rye 7 was the first Valiant book that I read. So to go back and try to get all those, the first Turok, the Harbinger ones, was
first
really
Turok right here. Speaking of first Turok, you had to throw out cash money. It is embarrassing how much we threw into some of these books. They're in demand. They were very low print run, right?
What's funny is the cover for Turok #1 was at OAX, and I didn't get to see it until I saw it on West Coast Dave's video yesterday. I didn't realize it was there.
Yeah, there's 2 Turok #1s there, and our friend Jason here got a hold of the other one.
Nice.
Got the homaged by the OG.
Yeah.
Nice.
So let's continue. I mean, we're on pursuit. Peter's, already on the run, obviously, right. and
so I want to point out how the flying car, that's him using his psychic abilities or telekinesis or whatever. They don't really give you a lot of clear definition of it, but he's got mind powers and he can make the car fly. And so they were being chased by a helicopter, and that's him and his girlfriend Chris.
Yes,
Chris
and then the other thing that I remember from Zero is they highlighted why Peter was special, because leading up to this, obviously the reason he was writing in was they had an ad out, a paper ad out.
Yep.
Which by the way, I think it's in the trade paperback, right? All right, let me get back to
the ad.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so they had paper ad out, and then he writes to them, and then basically what happens is they talk about Peter. I think it was Toyo Harada and then his assistant. And they say Peter's special because his powers were unlocking himself. And while typically Toyo has to kind of unlock the powers for Harbingers.
Right. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And
Peter has the ability to go in and unlock other people's powers.
Correct. So that's kind of like what it kind of reveals, whereas
Right.
and that's a really cool aspect because it's almost
Right.
like a D&D quest, right? Like everyone while he's recruiting, he's
building the party,
unintentionally also activating.
Yeah.
So that's a really fun part.
Yeah, and we'll find out later that there's another reason why Toyo Harada wants Peter.
Yes.
And so I don't think you find that out until 25, or if you read Rise Zero. If you read Rise Zero, you kind of find it out as they lay out the plans of the future. But yeah.
So yeah, this is where they get attacked by some of the other Harbingers. What did they call them? The
Egg breakers.
Egg breakers. Yeah. So they were going after him. And so another thing too that I wanted to point out that I think is interesting, it happens in Zero, I think. Peter and his girlfriend Chris, he basically like uses his mental powers to make her like him. So then she's very questioning, like, wait, do I even really like you? Or is it just because you're making me? Are you making me like you right now? Like, why are we even having this conversation? That kind of thing. So in number 1, they're on the run because these egg breakers are chasing him down and she's going with him, but she's questioning, like, do I really care about him? Does he care about me? Like, is it really just his powers? Should I even be here? And that kind of thing. So there's extra stress and conflict and all of that just between them.
So, Newell, here's a moment where I feel like it's different than X-Men. It's a little scumbaggy of Peter to behave this way, and it's a human flaw.
He's got a lot of scumbaggy behavior.
Yeah. I don't know if I could, which feeds into who he is in the future, right? And so it kind of play, which I think is really powerful. But I don't know if there is a scumbaggy kind of character like that in X-Men. That's
it's interesting because you kind of made the comparison between Xavier and Harada, right? I felt more like maybe he was. I don't know if I felt more like Peter was a combination of like Cyclops and Professor Xavier in a way, because he's the leader of the team. He's out in the field, but he's also building the team, and he's the one that's kind of like saying, "I know that I can tell that there's something special about you. You should come with me, and I'll help you. We'll live this life together. So it felt like in a way it was like if he's like a young Professor X. That's kind of how I was reading it, but
yeah. Well, and you also get the idea that at times that Peter doesn't even know if he's the one that's manipulating stuff or not. Like his powers are so hyped up that like I don't even know if this is real or not.
Right.
Like I might be subconsciously doing some of this stuff. And of course, that last page is they meet Faith or Zephyr, as she was more known back then. But yes, she's a comic book nerd, and so you notice the Bob Burden Flaming Carrot comic that was floating around back there. So it's
a bunch of Star Trek stuff, and yeah,
and that's a characteristic that they actually kept with her on when they launched VEI. They actually lean more into her because if you'll notice as you go through the issues, she seems to gain in weight. And so they kind of, especially going into VEI, they really lean into her really having a confidence without being that typical female, bottle type shape, right?
Right. Yeah, I don't remember which version it was, but I remember when there was, one of the latter versions of the Valiant stuff when they did the Faith comic and they had her on the first cover, just standing there, kind of a little bit bigger, but absolutely proud and looking powerful, right?
I remember there was a lot of press around that when they launched Faith, right? And I remember like when I saw it, I didn't really recognize it was Zephyr because I remember her as like Zephyr Zeppelin, whatever. And until later when I think I met one of the creators, and she talked about Faith. Oh, you're the one who's working on Faith, and then she kind of explained to me the inspiration behind it, and so she basically repeated a lot of what you said, Jason.
So with Faith is actually the only Funko Pop that Valiant ever launched.
Really?
Oh, wow, I didn't know that. That's kind of cool.
They were supposed to launch all of them, and it seems like they launched them prematurely.
Oh wow, that's cool.
So, yeah, they were supposed to launch all these.
Oh,
Wait,
wow.
so the other ones never came?
Nope.
What? How sad.
Yep. So there you go.
I wonder if it's because like this one didn't sell very well, so they kind of just.
I don't know. Dinesh might be the one to ask that because he
Yeah.
probably would remember.
No, it's funny. I was thinking about Dinesh today too, where I think we should come up with a list of questions while we're kind of going over some of this stuff as to why certain decisions were made. So I think this is a good one for Dinesh. That will
because when it comes to the Harbinger story, there's quite a little variance as to who lives and who dies in VEI as opposed to what we're going over today. And actually, I had heard that they were making it might be canceled now. Like they made the Bloodshot movie, had that done well. They were in process of doing the Harbinger one.
Oh, really?
But to my understanding, Brian Wells was telling me this that Harada was not even going to be Oriental. You know, it didn't make any sense to me.
That's weird. That's strange that they would do that. Yeah. Well, speaking of Oriental, isn't Rai Oriental or Asian?
Yes,
Japanese, right? And then
Japanese. Yeah.
So they did kind of a bit of a Vin Diesel cosplay right there. All right, back to Harbinger. So I love this page. I saw it on if you guys don't mind, I would love to unofficially claim it if Joey will ever get back to us on this because I love her and she
Flamingo.
And you want to explain her as a character and presence. And this is basically where they first run into each other.
Well, I thought that part was funny how Peter broke into the post office to intercept other letters that other young people had written to the Harbinger Foundation.
Yeah.
And so they used the information that he gathered from stealing mail to figure out where the Harbinger offices were and to find people. And so that's him at one of the Harbinger offices, looking for information. And this girl who goes by the name Flamingo, I can't remember her actual name, but she's there and she kind of latches on to him a little bit because she sees him tearing the place up. And he ends up taking her along with him and Chris to start, doing the team that's going to be the anti-Harbingers,
Yeah.
And her ability is she does fire powers. She can light things on fire and whatever. But she's called Flamingo because she only wears pink. Which
and
I
then
thought was pretty funny.
I thought that was a funny moment too, because then Charles Bronson walks in. And
I didn't even notice that when I was reading it. That's funny.
I don't know why
That's
Charles Bronson, right straight of Death Wish.
Charlene, that's right.
Death
Thanks,
Wish
Jude.
2. Death Wish 2, and he shows up and he greets Peter. I don't know why he was there, but guarding the post
That's
office.
pretty funny.
Yeah. So what happens here? He basically he gets confronted by Charles, and then he.
Yeah, so he steals a bunch of files. He's got the whole mail bag, and he's just floating it out, tearing the doors down, and she's just like, "Damn," and decides to go with him.
That's funny.
A complete stranger. And this is fun because Faith decides that they need costumes or at least extra clothes. So she's got this whole big ass trunk of cosplay gear, which they didn't call it that back then, but she's got a bunch of clothing and costuming stuff. So she brings that so that they have stuff to wear. And here we see Flamingo lighting up her fire powers for the first time and burning off all her clothes.
I totally remember this moment, and I was like, as a little early teen, it's so cool.
And I will say, they went out of their way to make her kind of a slutty character. She was always like, "Oh, Peter,
yeah.
Oh, my clothes just fell off. Oops."
Yeah.
And in VEI, they even leaned into it even more.
Really?
And so, spoiler alert, but Flamingo dies in VEI. But the
I can't read it now.
But it was kind of a character arc for her that she went from super slutty to somebody that had a purpose and stuff. So it really made sense.
Well, that's interesting because they kind of play up her having the idea that she doesn't really have a reason to be there. Mm-hmm. So that's why she kind of throws herself at people. She feels like she doesn't have any self-worth.
Yeah, so I do feel like, as much as she's kind of even the way she speaks, kind of rogue-ish, they do,
A little bit, yeah.
They do kind of lean into it a little bit more. She's obviously more provocative, you know, a little.
It's like maybe
bimbo-y, right? Oops, where my clothes are all gone, you know.
Yeah, it's like maybe they started with an idea of Rogue as a baseline and then cranked it up a few notches, you know.
Mm-hmm. And then obviously, you know, Peter's girlfriend is not a fan.
Oh, he hates or she hates her. They do not get along.
It makes sense. I mean, like, you have a girlfriend and you show up with this like stripper looking girl who on first impression burns her clothes off. Yeah.
Yes. And then they meet Torque. And I love that his last name is Torkelson. Like that they just kind of shoehorned that in there. I thought that was great.
Why is he half naked now? Why is he topless? What's going on? Because
he's a big, buff, strong dude, and he was working on a car, and he got all sweaty, and you know,
it happens. That's just so.
I mean, I felt like Valiant was doing a good job of being equal opportunity, showing off characters. That's
true. There's a featuring Shawn Michaels.
It's funny because throughout the series he spends a lot of time with his shirt off.
Oh my god! I guess apparently like fully, right? Like, and then they jump in the car and they're just totally naked.
Oh yeah, almost immediately him and Flamingo were like, "Ooh, you're hot. Ooh, you're hot. We should hang out."
Right.
There he is, nighttime, no shirt, smoking a cigarette. She's all over him.
Wow, that's so funny. Total shaman. Oh yeah, she is all over him. Wait, do they hook up? I don't remember.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Well, and so it's funny that this is very 90s here because here you go. You got the long hair guy, buff, woman hanging all over him, smoking a cigarette, which, you know, it was in the 90s that basically became, you know, where you didn't want to do that in comics anymore. The cool guy, you know, needed not to be smoking. So,
yeah. So interesting. Yeah. It's funny because I mean, at this time, smoking was still pretty prevalent, right? Mm-hmm. And then it slowly evolved away from this. So this was still a little on the naughty side. But apparently a lot of the guys in Valiant, from what I know, they all smoke. Like, and the office was like smoky from what I hear. And so I mean, okay, so we keep going, and then what's going on here? Like a cat fight?
Girl fight.
Cat fight. Your problem, boom. And so they really just go at it.
And then there she goes, lighting on fire again, and you see her clothes coming off again.
Oh my god!
Look at the stripper heels, man. Like, she's just
Man, it's funny because I almost feel like the Valiant office was having so much fun just creating these characters but zero editorial restrictions, right?
Oh yeah. And look at that top right panel. Peter's just like, "Boom, get out of here. You're done. It's no more fighting." And he just chucks her across the parking lot.
That is so funny. Yeah, and she's there like fuming, literally. You work for Harbinger, don't you?
Mm-hmm. He's confronting.
So Torque and Peter's always kind of had a little bit of beef, right?
Yeah, well, there's a reason why they will end up having beef. Yes.
Oh, yeah, a big reason. Yeah.
And then we find out what Torque can do.
Oh, yeah, because he basically activates him here on accident.
Right, and that's very. I don't know if it was intentional, but that's a very like Action Comics #1 kind of pose there with the car.
Cool.
Yeah.
You think this license plate mean anything, Jason? Do you remember this?
Late again? Yeah, I'm sure it does mean something.
Yeah,
but,
yeah, and it's on the cover too. I thought, which is fun.
This is a Jim Shooter question. If we could ever get him on here. Late again. License.
Yeah, so he kind
of. What happened? Did we lose Jason?
Oh,
yeah. Maybe one of the other co-hosts pull the plug. There's a nice picture of the freeze on though. Looks in my expert opinion.
Yeah. Well, you can tell he's getting ready to drop some serious knowledge on us.
Yeah, serious knowledge about to happen. So then he holds. I mean, it's cool. Speaking of dialogue during action panels, Mr. Tom McDonald. Yeah, here he's about to throw a car at the guy, and they have like a full-on conversation. Basically, I guess Peter freezes him, right? So he can't move.
Well, kind of, but then he noticed in the third frame here, he's like, "Oh, I think I bent the frame." He worried more about the car in the end, and then Peter's apologizing and all that, and you know, you back, Jason?
Yep. Yeah, we lost you for a second.
Not sure what happened there.
So you had a very serious, like about to drop some knowledge face.
Well, no, I was pointing out what Newell said earlier that he almost accidentally activates him.
Yes.
So, again, like it's like Peter's powers are so powerful that he inadvertently does stuff. And then, Torque is like this big brawny, me Torque, type of a guy. And they try to evolve him up to,
a point.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess what I love about Harbinger, I know Newell, you're talking about how being so like X-Men. I know there's also the Wolverine and Cyclops archetype that we're like literally observing here, but I feel like there's a little bit more layers to it all. I think there's like with Peter, he's kind of like, I don't know, for some reason I never liked Cyclops, or maybe I missed the early X-Men comics, right? So I didn't see this, but in my kind of memory of reading X-Men, I didn't see kind of the groundworks of this. And I think that's kind of why I'm personally more attached to Harbinger. I saw the groundworks of these characters become characters. And Wolverine, we all never got to see early Wolverine outside of Weapon X and a lot of nakedness. But here we got to see Torque, right? He's basically Wolverine Hulk, right? And so
kind of sort of, yeah.
Yeah, sort of, right? But yeah, so I think this is kind of like another like tidbit of why I really love, Harbinger, because we got to witness the building from the ground up.
I could see that because, like I didn't start reading X-Men until the early 90s. And at that point, Cyclops is already the dyed in the wool leader of the field team. And, he was already, like a grown soldier and whatever. And I never read the stories where he was young, So,
well, yeah, I mean, that goes for the whole Valiant universe, right? Because certain people, started in the 90s reading comics. You're like, hey, you're at the ground floor. And that kind of appealed to at least me, and I think some other people.
Same, yeah.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. Yeah.
And then I think the other thing was because all the talent had left Marvel and DC, you kind of spend a lot of time with the indies at the time. So you follow like the Comic Valiant.
Well, I think that's why, like, what was it later in the 90s when CrossGen happened? They had so many big names from that had worked at the other companies, like I was like, oh, wow, I want to see what this is all about. I read quite a few of the CrossGen books when they were coming out.
Yeah. Curious. I mean, there was a few Valiant guys that went that direction. And so, Will Quintana, the colorist for Bladesmith and Zero Ghost, he was one of them.
Plug. That was smooth.
So you get Bladesmith start next Tuesday, February 11th. Let's see how many new followers we got. If you haven't followed it yet, here it is.
Get on it.
171. Come on, viewers. If you haven't followed us yet, click notify me on launch. All right, back to Harbinger. And so this was cool. I really like this panel here, this action panel.
The one of the car, that bottom one. Yeah, that's a good one.
And this young David Lapham, and so like, dude, this guy is gifted, man. Like,
he's really good.
Think about panels like this at a kind of an early comic of his. It's pretty cool. There's a lot.
Well, JJ mentioned that in the show was that he just kept evolving and getting better and better, so it kind of took his own style.
Yeah, quick plug. If you guys haven't seen our episode with JJ Janet Jackson, who is responsible for the colors of this book and many other Valiant books, please tune in to our channel and take a watch. That's a great one. And then what's going on here?
Flamingos.
Who is this guy here? Is this Master Dark's first appearance? Looks like it.
That's another one of the egg breakers. I can't remember. I don't remember a lot of their names off the top of my head.
Well, that's the other cool thing. Like even with the egg breakers, some of them stand out, some of them don't. Some of them have similar power sets.
Pause right there, Carl. Go back up just a little bit. So those two, back down. That panel and the one below it, those two right there on the right. That little sparkle, that spark or whatever in Peter's eye, that was like the indicator that his powers were activating, that he was doing stuff. Right. I thought that was a nice little subtle, like, oh shit, he's doing something. What's he gonna do? Whose mind is he gonna break?
I like that.
But and it's interesting because it almost made me think of Cable a little bit.
Yeah, it's actually the same eye too.
Yeah. But like the panel there where it's real subtle because it's in color, but then when you get the bigger star over the silhouette and that panel right under it, that's awesome. Yeah. I think that looks great.
Yeah, that looks great. It kind of reminds me of Long Shot too.
That too.
But they always, every time the egg breakers attack, first person they go to is Peter. because they know like if Peter is active, like they have no chance, right?
Well, he's the strongest, and he's also like the primary target. I think I think it might have been a little bit later, but at some point, Harada even tells him like, Stanchek's the primary target. You can kill all the rest. I don't care.
Well, yeah, because I mean, Chris is not even actually a psyot.
Right.
Yeah, she's just a normal human.
All right. So it kind of ends on this kind of big battle.
Yeah, so they beat the egg breakers back, and Chris has been hurt. And that's kind of where it ends. Like it ends kind of like in the middle, like right after the battle, but it still feels like what comes next. Oh my gosh, like the way that the issue started, like with them in midair, it's kind of crazy how they choose the points to come in and out of these issues.
And Janet wasn't kidding when she said she wore many hats. She's the color. She's also credited as the editor as well of the book. So she was really, man, like she's special.
Oh yeah.
All right. So that was issue 1, and that was a lot that happened.
It was.
I thought it was like a great foundation for what happened, and so I guess we could blast through kind of issues 2 and maybe highlight some of the issues we could hop around. I guess, Jason,
Yeah, sure.
are there any kind of from here to issue 25? What would you guys say are the moments that we should definitely cover?
Well, there's several. The hardcore introduction, of course, was one of the big ones. This page right here.
Yeah. I was gonna say
it shows him utilizing his powers. I actually passed on this page right here.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
What?
So that's they break into the hospital, and he's yelling at the doctors, fix her, because she's got bullets in her. And they're like, look, we need your parents, we need, something. And he's just like, fuck it, I'll do it myself. And he uses his powers to rip the bullets out of her body.
Oof.
Yeah.
That looks painful.
Pretty hardcore.
Yeah, pretty hardcore.
And so, yeah, I mean, and that is basically the biggest scene in that issue. If you want to skip around.
Yep.
So 3 is when I believe they meet Axe. So they break into the Harbinger. That's why they got all that cash. So they broke into the Harbinger Foundation and get flushed with all this cash.
Well, that wasn't that one for the. It was an office for the 8th day, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is like one of their fronts or whatever.
So it's like a biblical reference, right? So the 7th day he rested. So this 8th day is the next day.
And then it's kind of cool. Issue 3 now, you're also seeing their costumes,
right,
on form,
all provided by Faith.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so in issue number 2, there's the one doctor that after Peter pulls the bullets out, the doctor wraps Chris up, and then like he says, hey, I have this summer home. You guys seem to be in trouble. Go stay at my summer home. He wants to help them, so that's where they're staying. Is they're crashing at this guy's summer home just because he decided to be a nice guy.
So this is where they meet Axe, who is like a technopath.
Who
I knew from EXO.
Yes.
Blood. He plays a big part in Bloodshot.
Oh,
yeah. Number 2, right? He fights Bloodshot. Yeah.
You know anybody that's got a cover like that or anything?
Yeah, I do. I should sometime. I should load
so
that.
You got to throw in a sprinkling of some spider aliens.
I got my Milo gift from Jason at OAX.
But the spider aliens are the other overarching big bad.
Yeah, I was happy to see them. I thought that was cool that they find the ship.
So Axe kind of tackles into that.
Now Axe is way younger here than later like appearances, right? So was this the kind of first appearance of Axe, or did he?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is the first appearance of Axe. And then he kind of here, you kind of don't know whether he's just out for himself or he's a bad guy. But as time goes on, he's really just, bad guy.
The worst.
Some of what happens here might have led to that. But
can I make a visual, kind of observation is, back then, I don't know about you guys, but I remember in the city, everyone hated this kind of haircut. And you kind of like, it just represents like this a-hole that has haircuts like this. And they gave him that haircut. So
yeah, Harbinger 3 is the first appearance of Axe.
Yep. Okay, cool.
So I think this is great, right? They're running from the egg breakers and everything, and they stumble across this this spaceship that's the spider aliens, and they get in it and they go to the moon, and they find that base on the dark side that Exo went to at one point. And I think was this the same character that Exo ended up killing?
Yeah, it is. I think I have the cover for that actually.
Oh, nice.
Where Exo rips his gut out.
Yeah, lots of spider aliens. So this issue I thought was fun because it tied it all back to Exo for me. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Don't wait, go back. This is a big scene right here. So Flamingo is pretty ticked at Axe. So you see what she lights his crotch on fire.
Yep.
Third
degree dick burns.
That's wrong, dude. Wait, so what did kind of remind me? I actually forgot. What did Axe do to piss her off this bad? Because that's wow.
Well, basically he betrayed them, right?
Yeah, he turned them over to the aliens.
Oh, that what happened? Oh, he betrayed them. And is it because he was already working for the aliens?
No, I think it's just opportunistic.
Yeah, he's just an asshole.
That moment.
But that panel right there, like if you don't know what that blue is in the background at first, like without the context, but then you realize, oh, those are his legs. What is she grabbing? Oh no!
Oh no! That's rough.
Oh my god!
Yeah, oh my god! What a great moment!
And then her bursting into action on fire with her bright pink heels.
What a way to close out the. So now, why isn't her clothes burning off in this scenario? Did they find fireproof clothes at some point?
Well, you know how the Fantastic Four and some of them have what they call unstable molecules or whatever.
Yeah,
it's kind of that similar thing there.
You know, I don't remember what the context of the issue was, but I remember this cover being very memorable.
Yeah, they all kind of go home for Christmas, and then they get attacked after they get back from the finishing of the story there.
And then there he is grabbing his crotch.
So that scene right there, that's kind of the scene from the previous issue, right, on the cover.
Yeah.
And that's one of the great things about the early Valiant stuff is because basically you saw what's on the cover, it happened in some form or fashion in the book. It was kind of giving you.
Yeah, the cover was like a trailer to what's happening inside, and it's always kind of fun.
So really, Flamingo's coming into her own here. She's really starting to use her powers a lot more. She's kind of the heroine of the story here.
Yep.
So cool. Oh, wow. She really unleashes on the story.
And then that bottom panel, their faith is like, wow, Flamingo saved us. She could do stuff.
Yeah, it's actually useful.
Yeah, she's not just well, because it's funny because like right here, like, hey Flamingo, go find me a beer. Like Torque is just like, she's a girl, she belongs in the kitchen.
You're so not modern day Disney friendly.
Right. As he's hanging out with his shirt off, still he hasn't had a shirt for 3 whole issues now.
I mean, it's tempting, I guess, when you're that ripped to show what you got,
Right.
Oh, what's happening here?
Chris is teaching Torque how to read. At least that's what it looks like there.
Wow.
And then he makes a move, and then you see Peter in the red. I love that panel. He sees it, and he's like, "Oh no, that's my girl."
Dude, the coloring here is so powerful because it's like
the sunset looks like a painting. Like it's really nice.
It's really well done. Like,
that one really stood out to me.
Beautiful. I mean, and the red is like highlight. You could feel his anger, right?
Yep.
But
and it's got the Arthur
like, so beautiful, It's wow.
And then they're arguing about it, and she says, "He kissed me goodbye, and yes, I wanted more. So what? You don't own me."
Oh.
And then she leaves.
Ouch.
And then we see Axe.
He's back.
He found some of their money that they left stashed in a locker.
He found new pants too.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then he's doing some hacking because he can talk to computers.
Oh, it's because Peter unlocked his power. Yeah.
Yep. And then here we see Flamingo back home for Christmas talking to her super religious mother who thinks she's a sinner.
Oh, no. Look at that.
She knows that her daughter's a harlot. And then there's Faith.
This kind of stuff was super relatable to me because my dad's a pastor, and so I grew up in the church, but I was not like the most like straight.
Did your parents ever confront you about being a harlot?
No, they actually just in the most Chinese way just ignored it. Knowing I was a harlot. I'll share stories. There's a lot of funny moments in my childhood, but we'll keep
Excellent.
moving.
So notice that Faith gets a Batman for Christmas.
Yep.
Where?
Right
Oh,
there.
here you go. That's kind of cool.
Right there.
I like that. That's a cool plug.
Yep.
I love
Yeah.
that. I think just a real quick moment there is beyond the newspaper ads, beyond like this kind of Faith costuming. What I love is Valiant was very immersive, very inviting in moments like this, creating real world relatable things that these characters are going through, and I think that's kind of another reason why it was so easy to fall in love with the stories.
Well, and then we see Torque going back home, and there's nobody. He just has a little shack.
Oh, how sad!
Yep.
Poor guy.
He's all by himself. Yep.
Wow. Feel bad.
I like the panel where Chris is looking in the window there, and you just see her breath, and then the snow, and just her face. Like that's a really nice panel, I think.
Yeah. Wow.
So they all attempt to go home for Christmas, but then they realize that they can't go back to the way they used to be. Right. Basically, these powers, these adventures that they've been having is they're really a new life, and so that's why they end up back together.
And then if you scroll back, right there, Chris is there. Peter comes home back to the summer house that they're hanging out in, and she's already back. Yeah. And then here's some guys blow up Torque's shack.
It just freaking bazookas. That's ridiculous.
And it's great because you see the shack blow up, and then we're back to the summer house, and there's Faith and Flamingo. They decide that they'd rather spend Christmas with Peter and the gang, and so they're all coming back together.
So you notice Axe was the instigator there, leading them to Torque.
Right. Yeah. Well, a scumbag, like full on scumbag. But Torque just goes off on him, right?
Yep. He survived, and he's out there just beating him up.
Yep.
Oh, and then there's that guy. What was that guy's name? The one with the lasers.
Is it Spike?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think so. Yeah,
wait,
Spike.
He throws lasers. What does he do?
He they're like energy spikes. You know what they remind me now that I'm thinking about it? You remember? You guys ever played Halo? The alien gun, the Needler.
I haven't.
Oh man.
But they're kind of like similar to Psylocke.
Just like energy spikes. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Really cool. But it's like they could throw it. That's cool. I mean, a lot of cool villains too. Just the way they gave character to these villains. Look at this. Boom.
Yeah, look at that.
Look at that. Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah. Wow, Shank and Peter.
Yeah. So I mean, kind of just going back to that whole like them coming home, then deciding to come back together. I felt like the writers and as a team was very vulnerable with kind of personal experience as well. Because often I feel like you find these characters through personal experience, and Shooter, who's I guess writing a lot of this stuff, put a lot of heart into these characters.
Yeah, I think they definitely tried to make him feel real, believable.
Here's a crotchless back around.
I think he's fixing to get it again.
Yeah,
look at that. The knee. Rochambeau.
Oh my god.
Not again.
Oh my god, that's such a gag, right? Oh my god. And then
look at that. It's Christmas morning. They're hanging out, and Torque still has no shirt.
Now apparently they ripped off his jeans now too. So it's just like well, it's funny. Why like his jeans short, so he just ripped them off because he had them here. I guess they were really dirty, and then they're gone. Okay.
Good times.
All right, that's a great issue, actually. I feel a little emotional just kind of going through it.
Oh, and here you go.
So this is where they meet Solar. Yeah, this issue.
Okay. Solar.
Yeah, so they have all that money, and they decide to go on a trip to celebrate and to just kind of get away from all the rough stuff that they've been dealing with.
And this egg breaker here, he's his powers are. He can't control his powers after Harada activates him. Solar steps into the scene.
And this is at the Harbinger headquarters. Like these are like the egg breakers in training, and we get to see a little bit of what they're like.
That's cool.
And so there's the showdown with Peter and Harada.
And was this done in colors, or the original pages had all these kind of like wind stuff happening?
Pretty sure it was done. I see what you're saying. No, I don't.
All these effects. I wonder if it was just like whiteout that they threw in after. It's pretty cool though.
Yeah, so you can't let an opportunity to strip a woman down. Like right here, she's whooping Torque, who has a shirt on for some reason.
Look at the first time in the whole series.
But he's going to take her shirt off.
Right.
So
this pose, look at this. This rips her, and then of course she's making this crazy pose and
hey, look what he's doing here.
What the heck's going on? Yeah. That's just,
I like the dialogue. He says, "Tear your throat out." That's not her throat, dude.
Oh yeah. Torque dumb.
On the way too. Well, and then more naked. Wait, what the heck?
Yeah, she's got.
She's just like, no.
Oh my god, that's hilarious. Yeah, so much nakedness. You don't see this in X-Men.
Outside of Wolverine for some reason.
Yeah.
So and then Solar pops in and Faith knows who he is.
From the comic books, because you remember this is how Solar came into it, was that he imagined, and this, so he had multiple personalities. If you read the first few issues of Solar, he fights them. So
I have not read any Solar yet. I need to get
to it. And there's you naked right here, right? So
you almost get a butt in that shot.
Yeah, almost very close. Man,
as Anthony would say, haunches.
Oh, Harada shows up,
and that's a great little like just shot of all the main characters. You know, the main players.
Great moment here.
Yeah, because see, Solar's already had his run-ins with Harada, because Harada makes his first appearance in Solar.
Oh.
And so the Eternal Warrior makes his first appearance in Solar, and it was all because he met Toyo Harada, again, one of the Kingmakers. Now, this is the scene. This is the issue where somebody's no longer going to be with us.
Yeah, no, this is a grim issue, very important issue. Real quick, just as a game time decision, I mean, Harbinger, we're kind of diving into it. Do we want to kind of continue next week, or do we want to jump to wrapping it up? Because I know Bill has something going on. Like,
yeah, we can pause it after the burial issue or whatever.
After this, maybe,
which kind of finalizes it, right?
Yeah, exactly. So, okay,
once they take him and bury him, they kind of move on.
Yeah, I kind of like this. I'm actually really enjoying this. Hope whoever is tuning in, folks, you guys are enjoying this kind of more detail aspect. Give us feedback, give us comments, let us know. I know we kind of breezed over Shadow Man and some of the past ones, but personally, I'm really enjoying all this. Just kind of
see Tom's comment.
Let's see.
Was it about the naked people or Carl being a gigolo?
He was cosplaying while we were talking about naked people. He's like, "Oh man, it's perfect time to lose the clothes and be part of the immersive Valiant universe." You know?
Oh man.
Actually, Born in the Comics commented on Shooter drew the Mustang on.
So if you look at some of the early ad pages, there is a slightly different cover to the Harbinger one. And so Shooter drew that one. But from my understanding, the actual one that was come to print in Harbinger 1 was redrawn. But it was redrawn from Shooter's original prelim.
So, I mean, Jason, this is one of the reasons why I've heard multiple times where you love Valiant is because there is like a definitive, lifeline when it comes to people. Like when people, die or something happens to them, it's just permanent. It's not like you'll die and all of a sudden, like you're not dead, like you're movers. And so this kind of is a moment in the Harbinger history that kind of takes us into that, right?
Right.
All right. So Solar
prevents the showdown.
Okay.
And so that basically walked because Solar was there.
So they get to go away. Solar got their back. Oh, what's happening here?
They're getting attacked
by these folks.
Solar leaves. So once Solar leaves, it's fair game.
Right.
So they come after him. Wait, Flamingo is strong enough where she could get shot, and she's
burn bullets.
Oh,
she's burning the bullets.
Oh, she's burning them. Oh, no wonder. That's kind of cool. Okay,
Yeah, so you got Harada just standing up there, breaking Peter's brain.
Oh.
And then one of the egg breakers turns on him, punches him in the back of the head.
That's the same one that Torque.
That was naked, right? And
Yeah,
so they basically said, "Go, here's a swimsuit. take this and run with it." And gives her like a yellow, like rustling.
It's her superhero costume, man.
Yeah, I guess so. Guess the WWF.
Yeah, so they end up in some like trailer in the woods.
Wait, so why does she go with them? What happened?
I think she has a change of heart, and her boyfriend, who is also one of the egg breakers, they kind of realize that Harada maybe isn't like the hero that they thought he was, but they do think he's kind of a good dude. So they're like, we won't let you hurt Harada, but we're gonna not like work for him anymore. We're gonna we got to go figure out what we're really about, you know.
They're a little confused. Okay.
Yeah. And so there's them kind of like going to do their own thing.
So do we ever see them again, Jason? Do they kind of disappear into the?
Did they show up again? I don't know.
Yeah, I think they do. And so if you go going back, you know, he stumbles upon Torque just tossing a rock with Faith. And so it's kind of like Torque's really coming into his own. He's really becoming part of the team, trying to be less just dumb jock and more of a character. Of course, it's going to come too late, obviously, with what actually happens in this issue.
Oh, but man, that's how they get you. That's how they get you, because you know they're really building that setup. Like in movies, you get that, right? Like there's a moment where like you really connect with him finally.
So he actually uses that rock throwing scene or talent, whatever, later on in this issue as he's doing the final battle. But
is that panel, that tight panel of a rock in his hand, is that foreshadowing?
Yep.
So good. So good. So good. All right, so they're gone. All right, they're
that's somebody from Harbinger, like who tracked them down, was like, "Oh, we're not going to like stop you. We're not going to try to kill you. Like, here, have some money. Like, go live your life. We're the good guys. We're not going to try to stop you, you know." But then you see them reporting back to Harada, and then there's the kids.
Man, so many like kind of like two-faced backstabbing stuff that happens, you know, in this realm. Like in the Valiant universe, they do a really good job of giving like layers to characters.
But then there's the egg breakers flipping their car.
They're back. Boom.
Pulling
a very similar fight scene, right? Than the ones they've had in the past. You're on the road. They ambush them on the road, except this one's going to end a lot differently, right?
Yeah, and what's cool is Peter, dude, he looks so cool right now. He just flips the car. He's like, "What's up?" And then, you know, Torque is running out with a swing. And then I remember this moment when Faith got her hair pulled, because like this type of action you just don't see a lot, like, you know, in any comics. It's brutal, you know. All right, so keep your eyes closed. Oh, so this girl makes people sleep.
Yeah, so she's trying to take
her on
Peter out.
Oh, right, because they knew that he was the strongest one. Oh, and there's the rock.
Foreshadow.
There he goes. He grabs the rock. He grabs the rock. Boom.
That looks painful.
Yeah. What a great composition, too, though, right? They're up here fighting. Then you see him way on the bottom, and you go, boom, rock to the head.
Boom.
Okay. And then this guy forms like a mattress, right? Saves her.
It's kind of like the Invisible Woman, like his shield.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Stays away, and then what happens here? Let's say cheese.
He calls him "you filthy butt lick." Such a '90s insult.
You filthy butt lick. Okay, here goes. All right, is leading. Oh, come here, knock. Who's this guy now? And then all of a sudden,
wow!
Oh,
Shank.
Who is this guy? Is this guy? That's
he's one of the egg breakers. I can't think of what his name was.
Wait, not even like a Wolverine thing. It's just literally like a tool, like a car.
Yeah, he's not a tool and Shank.
He's just a big, strong guy.
And so there will be some vengeance to be had by the time of our end of our reading. Not today, but in the future for this guy.
Yeah, but like that splash of red just across the thing, like, and then you see, you know, and on the next page you see Torque just on the ground there.
So he stabs him multiple times. Right? Oh yeah, because his back has holes all right. Oof.
Yeah. But this is this is not how Torque dies. Torque they end up killing him in the ambulance.
Oh.
Right. So the ambulance shows up. The bad guys flee. The ambulance shows up. They take him away. And the rest of the team is like, oh, he's going to be okay. He's going to make it. And then you see this chick with the syringe.
And then they're like, wait a minute. I don't think how'd that ambulance get here so quick?
Right. And they realize that the chick with the syringe is one of the egg breakers named Weasel, which I thought was a great code name. I don't get it. But
yeah, so she injects him with whatever and that kills him. So
sad. Just straight injects in there.
Yeah. And I'll say, reading this issue, I was like, wow, that's not just, oh, he got shanked in a superhero battle and he just dropped dead. Like, they really made you feel it, right? They went out of their way to make it like very dramatic. And the fact that, oh, he's in the ambulance, he's going to be okay. And then it's like, nope, gotcha. Like they really pulled a double whammy. And then here's Peter talking to him, they're like mind melding right now.
Yeah.
As he fades away.
Oh.
And he says, see ya, Pete, and walks away. So they definitely drew it out a bit to make it more dramatic.
Yeah, this is a cool moment. I remember this. I felt like it was really cool to visually represent what it's like when Peter is talking to someone in their minds, right? It's almost like I don't know if Matrix took a page out of this or the other way around, but it's like the white space where Neo meets with the Oracle.
Oh yeah.
Well, and it this kind of brings it home that here's Peter, a Omega level Arbinger or Psyot rather, and they've been having these battles, barely getting away, but they're always winning, and now they're real life. Somebody's going to die, right?
Sure.
They're not going to always be able to walk away from everything, and so it kind of again more relatable or understandable and really pulls you in.
Yeah, and I was kind of shocked that he died in this issue,
Yeah, and we didn't tell you anything about it, right? So yeah,
no, I had no idea.
Okay.
And I mean, spoiler alert, he doesn't come back. And it's funny because like the way that they did it, I was expecting him to come back in some capacity. Like maybe, Harada would steal the body and he would come back as an egg breaker or something, maybe he was even brainwashing him, right? Like who knows? But he never came back. I'm assuming he never comes back even after 25, Jason. Okay.
No.
So sad. So he's
and then
that panel of the top down of the ambulance on the road, that was a cool shot. I like that a lot.
Man, so many great panels actually as we're going through it. Wow.
Yeah.
All right. So it's kind of a somber moment. They
so they let the authorities take his body, as they hide in the bushes, but they're going to go back and try to get it just to make sure he is indeed dead.
Yeah.
And so that they can actually give him a proper burial.
They're there washing blood off their hands in a motel. And here we get Peter without a shirt for the first time.
There we go. Yeah, someone got to take over the
right, exactly. Well, he's the only dude left, so he's got to be the one, right?
Yeah. He's like, this is my time.
So we also get kind of a foreshadowing of something going on with Chris, which I think it was a previous issue where she mentions feeling sick, or it might have been a later issue. But in here, she's all super emotional about the whole deal. What went on behind the scenes with her.
Yep.
And then they go for a grand slam at Denny's.
Hey!
Of course. That's the proper way to heal a broken heart, right?
Yep.
Right. Torque. Okay.
And this is, I think, Faith went back to where they had been staying, and she is going to get some of Torque's stuff, trying to find some clothes to bury him in, that kind of thing. And she stumbles across the money that he had. Ooh, yeah, Derek, the moon's over my hammy is a good one.
Why does he have so much cash?
Because he never wore clothes. See, so
that does save money,
right? I mean, your clothes get ripped to shreds. His don't. So he saves some money.
Yeah.
Save all that cash.
And then you get this great scene of them doing like a Scooby-Doo type run through into the morgue.
That's true. That's pretty funny. Like, hey, what's going on here? Going to the morgue. They look for his body.
And then Chris is falling out again because she's not feeling great. And she's being all emotional because she's a girl.
So even leading up to this, Chris, she has a costume, but does she have any powers? I don't remember.
Well, you notice they're all wearing the Harbinger outfits.
Normal person. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. She's still just a normal person.
What's really interesting is the dynamics of like, what you said earlier, Jason, about how you don't even know if Chris really likes Peter or not, even though they're a thing. But then there was some real emotional connection with Torque,
right?
And I thought that was kind of cool.
Well, I think did the doubt of her feelings for Peter kind of push her towards that?
That's exactly what I was going to say. Yeah, it kind of drove her into his arms, maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of like a Jean Grey, Cyclops, Wolverine kind of thing.
A little bit,
except Wolverine gets to touch Jean in a more intimate way, So
well, yeah,
kind of like the What If, right?
So now here they're at the funeral home and they just show up and they're like, "We want to bury your friend," and the guy's like, "The fuck." You kids need to call the cops, and there's like a procedure for this. We can't just like have random bodies come in off the street. And so Peter does the thing, and the guy's like, "Yeah, I'll help." So,
and this is kind of a dated reference too. I don't know how it is in other places, but back in the day, the funeral directors lived at the funeral home.
Yep.
And so this is what they did. They went to the funeral home to find the funeral director.
Wow, I didn't know that. That's like the priest at the church kind of thing, right?
Yeah, because I mean, if you think there were no cell phones, so if somebody's going to call you in the middle of the night to come pick up a dead body, they're going to call the funeral home,
right?
And then you're right there, and then you're also watching the dead body, which was another big thing back in the day.
What a gig!
So then they have the funeral, which I just think is funny.
No, I know. It's sad. They actually do the funeral right then there. Wait, so they call the priest like right then and there, like middle of the night?
Yeah, they got the funeral director.
It's AM now. Yeah,
that's kind of cool. I always love how. Do you guys feel like, and this is probably a question for Jim Shooter, why was it so important to always have date and time?
I was kind of wondering about that too, honestly.
Yeah. Even though time is not absolute.
Important to have date and time. I like that. We're gonna have to save that. Absolute. Okay, there we go.
Yeah, now I can think back. Like, what was I doing at 4:05 a.m. on March 8th, 1992? Sleeping.
Well, I know it's very relevant for me. It's 2 days after my 14th birthday.
Oh wow,
so that's kind of cool. Wow, look at this. Very sad. Lots of tears.
No words. They let the art speak for itself.
The other part about it is, and I don't know if maybe if y'all died, y'all kind of thought this through. Since I've had that unfortunate event, it does make you think about it. Like, who's going to show up at your funeral? Like, you ever think about that? Like, how many people are going to show up at your funeral and miss you when you're gone? And so here's a guy that's just living his life. He really wasn't even after the hero life, right? And gets killed because he doesn't comply, and he's got 4 people. I mean, how sad is that, right?
Yeah, really sad. Yeah.
Well,
without them though, he wouldn't have had even 4.
That's true.
Yeah.
Right. Well, but if you think about it on the flip side, if they hadn't found him, he might not be dead.
Yeah,
that's true. That's the thing. He'd be still sitting in his little shed.
Well, that's what Peter mentions earlier. He said, I've got his blood on my hands.
Yep.
So.
Wow.
And so Flamingo's saying her goodbyes.
Yep. And there she's looking at the picture that they took when they were on vacation.
Wow. That's cool. There's a whole monologue.
I wonder
this would actually make a really good movie. Even just looking at us going through the first 7 issues, I just feel like there's a lot of heart to it all.
Yeah.
Nice.
So they kind of, here you go, the relaunch, right? So you got 1, they're kind of a similar scene to what you remember for 1, except Torque's not there. So
yeah, so there's one like really powerful arc, and by now it's Janet Jackson. Is she still doing? No, there's Maria Bakari.
Right, but that was one of the names that was with JJ on the previous ones.
Yeah, so now she took over, and then
you'll see Knob Row or something like that.
Yeah,
so that's all them. And so the next 2 issues are the tie-ins to Unity. And
so
this
is a good stopping point then, probably.
Really good stopping point. So a little kind of I'm not even gonna let it load. I'm just gonna end it here. so folks, you guys saw and heard Harbinger, the first 7 issues. We thought we covered a really good arc. And I think what I'm gonna do too is before next week catch up on the reading, because I feel like it kind of moved me emotionally in a very nostalgic way, and I feel like I need to catch up to see to get in on the details. But
he's going to spend a lot of time on those Flamingo burning her clothes off pages.
Exactly.
I remember those
most of the time that I'm going to be reading. But yeah, kind of and be immersed in my hair.
Some Harbinger art pages on the show.
Yeah, that's true. That's our show and tell. That's another goal there. So back to Gotcha Man for me. We got Rican. Yo, what's up?
Rican, what's up?
What's up? Moon's over my hammy, heals all wounds. Derek, yep, exactly. Denny's, Sapphire. So yeah, that was that, man. So I mean, we want to obviously give some attention to Bill's over at Comic Art Fans. They have a stream today with a live sale. So definitely
he's talking to George Gentil.
Yep, and what's his background? I actually wasn't super familiar with his art.
I know the name because I think he did some issues of Deadpool back in the day, like a bit after McGinnis did it. I know he's done a ton of Marvel stuff and some others. I can't remember everything off the top of my head, but he's one of those guys that's been around for a while and has gotten around and done quite a bit of different things.
Okay, so we'll probably hop over there. But before we go, is there any show and tell we got for today's segment?
I've got a couple.
Cool.
I got one. I'll throw it up real quick. You guys might have seen this on CAF recently. This is my Starman page that I just got by Craig Hamilton.
Nice.
I love it because the art style is really cool. It looks like a wood carving. And this one is good. It's the end page for this issue. And you get the Michael Thomas, who is the focus of the story. You get the Shade in the big panel, and then you get Jack Knight, the titular Starman in here. So you get a little bit of everybody. And this one just... Go ahead.
So the big question mark here is where is Stingray on the page?
You know what? I contain multitudes, Carl. I'm not just Stingray's my focus, but it's not the whole thing.
So reading Valiant has gotten you to create more layers in your collecting life. You're saying
it's helped, but yeah, I actually so the funny thing about that is I have the 2 big paperback compendiums for Starman. I started reading it in October, I think, for the very first time. Right, another 30-plus-year-old comic, right?
Nice.
And I finished reading Starman like the week of OAX. So when I saw that page come up, that's actually one of my favorite issues from that Starman run. I was like, I have to have that.
Congrats.
So thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, it's cool to see kind of now you pulling some of these pages, these vintage stuff. Into the mix. So, and they're nice. It's fun to read them and look at them, and it's great.
Derek's got a point. I'm still focusing on characters that start with an S.
That's true.
Yeah, there you go. Deviating.
Stingray, Shadow Man, Starman. Yeah, it's
true. You did buy the Shadow Man page as well.
Yeah.
Great observation, Derek.
Very astute, Mr. Professor.
What else?
All right, that's it for me. Go ahead, Jason.
All right, so I've got a cover in from Perillo. This is Bloodshot. Is it Reborn or Salvation? And so this is the first cover appearance of Jessie. This is Bloodshot's daughter.
Who is this one by?
Thomas Girillo.
Oh, okay, that's nice.
Yeah, so is he in Brazil or Argentina, somewhere down there? And so this is where it came from. But then I found out that Heritage is having an art show in March. He's actually going to be there.
Oh,
is
cool.
that the Collector Summit?
Yes, Collector Summit.
Okay.
Hey, are you guys going to Collector Summit? I'm trying to decide.
I'm planning on going, so I'm like 50%.
When is it?
March something.
22nd or something like that.
I'm probably not going.
Yeah, I was going to do a Vegas trip with my high school buddies for my birthday, but I think we're going to cancel that. And because I'm canceling that, I might use that weekend to do the collective summit instead. So I think it'd be
fun. In the middle of March, they're doing the IC3. I was thinking about trying to go to that.
Okay.
Ooh, what is this?
I can't do both. Yeah, what's this? This is cool. This is a really nice cover.
Yeah, it's a new Bloodshot book signed by the writer there.
Is that
wait, what? A novel?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
And that's new?
Yeah, it just came out.
Wow.
So Fred actually is currently writing a lot of the Valiant books now, and actually wrote several during the VEI days of Dinesh.
Yeah, I'm familiar with Fred's name.
Nice. How do you like it? Did you read it already, or you?
I haven't started it yet. I got it. I didn't get it last week.
Wait, we're allowed to read books without pictures on this show?
Yeah, there's only one. I was hoping for pictures in the book, but there's not.
Wow, just one. That's cool. I'm excited. That's kind of cool. We got to find a cover on that. Yeah, it's a great cover.
Jason, you have to find the original art for that cover now.
Yeah, that would be cool if it is.
You should start looking at it. It's great. Jump on it, because I feel like I don't know how good they're promoting, and maybe that's the whole Alien Books partnership. Maybe there was a bigger vision as to like what they're doing, because Aliens is more of a book publisher, and maybe the idea of like relaunching the comics through them was to now start building IP in that way.
Could be.
Yeah, and of course the Diamond thing I think has kind of derailed a lot of Alien and some other ones, people's stuff, because Alien actually is planning to start distributing directly to consumer.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll throw that up real quick. I did see that there's some report on Diamond Distribution, Alien Books. Let's see. All right, I won't get into it. We'll get into it next time. But it was supposed to basically, that's weird. 20 hours ago, Diamond's bankruptcy. Well, it wasn't the news I was looking for, but it looks like they're laying off editors now. So Diamond really kind of.
Yeah, I knew she had left because she's on the Valiant Facebook page.
Oh wow, okay.
And so she made an announcement there.
Oh wow, okay. That's unfortunate. I mean, similar to our friend Nick Barucci, who's head of Dynamite.
Didn't get to go to OAX because
of this. Because what happens is during Chapter 11, Diamond basically is forgiven all debts, and what's unfortunate is most of those debts are to publishers who they owe the money to for comics they sold. So it will have some impact on the whole industry for sure. So it's unfortunate to hear about this for current Valiant, because they've had some good momentum too, right? I mean, they've had some really good.
It seemed like they did. Now they were kind of going a different way with the multiverse and zombie thing and stuff, but kind of the jury was still out on that. But then this just kind of threw spikes in the road, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Well, read the book and keep us updated, Jason. Look forward to seeing how this turns out. But otherwise, I think that's our show and tell, and that's our show for this week. And folks, give us some comments and thoughts. Subscribe for both Southern Comic Geek and 24/7 Comics YouTube channels, and definitely let us know your thoughts if you guys like this kind of long form scroll through. Did you guys enjoy it? What do you guys think of scrolling through the pages? And
I thought it added a little something. It helped, because it's been a little bit since I read The Harbinger, so seeing it kind of spurred some of the memories and reminded me what I read.
Yeah, I think it's fun just to visually show like how well done these books were as well, just visually. But with that said, folks, thanks for tuning in again. Valiant TLDR. We'll see you next week, same time, same channels. Is that our new thing now, or buys, or the? All right, guys, ending stream. We're gonna upload. Stay on.
Yep.
Later, y'all.